So it's our 100th episode.
Are you going to say it's a very special episode? Because I know that's what you're about to say.
No, what I'm going to say is you quit Skip Town All-Stars again yesterday on the eve of 100 episode.
I did. And do you really going to bring that up?
Yeah, I'm going to bring it up.
Because you got me mad. And what did I say? I said, I'm going to come in and record this episode and it's over.
Yeah, you did. It's the 100th episode. That's it. You said, I've had enough. I've had enough of you. I've had enough of this show. I've had enough of everything. I'm out.
I did.
Yeah. But then we had a little bit of an agreement.
We did.
Okay.
We did. Do you want to talk about that agreement?
Well, yeah, I want to talk about the agreement. Like, we're doing a podcast.
Yeah. So the agreement was that you don't huff and puff about stuff anymore.
That was not part of the agreement.
It was.
No. There is no huffing clause in my agreement.
Yes. The agreement was in the next 45 days.
I wasn't allowed to argue with you. You didn't say anything about huffing and puffing.
I said, if there's one more argument from now until July 15th, I'm out. Like, I am out. And then I included, when you agreed to that, I said, and no huffing.
No. You said it. You brought it up 20 minutes later.
That was after.
The deal had already been struck.
Are you going to huff?
I am going to huff.
So James does this thing when he gets mad. He does this like crazy old man thing where he throws his arms up in the air and he goes, oh. It's like, and I could be in the middle of a sentence and I'm not doing that anymore. So if you do one more huff, I'm done. I'm out.
No promises. We'll see how this goes, I guess.
Okay.
I don't even think I can make it through this episode. This is our 100th episode. We have a very special episode for you today.
We do.
Let's rock.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Hey listeners, ever wonder what it would be like to blow up your comfort zone at the tender age of 50? Well, we did just that. When our last kid went off to college, we hit the road in search of a new hometown. Now we bounce from city to city and bring you along for the ride. This is the Skip Town All-Stars podcast.
This episode of Skip Town is sponsored by Manscaped. Let's crack it open.
I love Manscaped.
Oh
my God.
You love
is this
Manscaped.
For me? Or
Yeah,
is this,
it's actually,
I feel like this is a gift for me.
I think it's a good idea, yeah, for the women in your life.
They give you guys clothes too?
Manscaped. Your balls will thank you. How about that? Crack it open. Let's see what we got. Oh, look at that.
Oh my God, that's beautiful.
Level up your grooming game.
Oh, I know what this is.
You know what
I know
that
what
is?
this is. This is a nose hair trimmer.
That is the Weed Whacker 2.0. Great for noses.
Do you use anything?
Great for ears.
Do you use it for anything else?
Oh my God. Okay, we're not doing that.
Oh my gosh, this is so nice.
This is the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra.
This gets a lot of use in our house.
It covers a lot of area.
Yeah, you know, with the amount that you remove on your body, you could donate it to Locks of Love. Nobody wants to wrap their arms around a gorilla. Those days are over with Manscaped.
Yeah, it has become more than just a trend. I think it's strange, actually. Growing up in the 70s, you would have never imagined men would be grooming themselves.
It's so much better. It's long overdue.
The Boxers 2.0 were crafted with a simple mission: to be the most comfortable boxers a man can buy. What makes these bad boys different? The Jewel Pouch. With summer just around the corner, the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra is the perfect kit for dad. So quit messing around, upgrade your dad's groom game for Father's Day. Go to manscaped.com and get 20% off plus free shipping with the code SKIPTOWN.
We save balls.
It sound right, boy.
You only get one crack at this.
Do it right.
Ooh, how about that? Welcome back, All-Stars, to an extra special edition of Skip Town. It is our 100th episode. Are you psyched, Trixie, as I pour you some champagne?
Very. This is so exciting, considering I almost didn't make it last night.
Yeah.
You know.
I know. You almost fired me again.
Well, you kind of deserved it, but that's all right.
Oh, we're not going to get into details about that. We have producer Phil with us in the studio today. We are at the Podcast Doctor Studios in Orlando. What's up, Phil? Welcome to episode 100. I'm pouring you a glass as well.
Guys, this has been an honor.
Aww.
Salute to all of you. This is a very special day.
It is 100 episodes.
100 episodes. You know, here's a little podcast fact. Podcasts don't make it past 10 episodes sometimes.
I heard 21, so I felt like...
Even 10, though.
I have recently heard 10. So I was like, wow. I thought when we went past 21, we did ourselves like, oh, we made it past 21. And now I'm hearing all over the place 10.
I got a glass.
You got a glass. I'm in your angle.
Yeah. All right. So, cheers to you guys. Cheers to the next 100. Cheers to the 100 after that. Cheers to Skiptown All-Stars. Cheers to one of the best podcasts out there.
Oh,
Yeah.
Phil, you're too kind.
Congratulations.
You're
guys.
biased. You're our producer.
Love you guys.
How
Love
about
you too.
to the next 100, right, babe?
That's right.
Let's do it. Just behave yourself. Yeah.
Ooh. All right. So, what is that?
Okay.
Ah, that's delicious.
This is actually, if you go back to our Asheville, North Carolina episode, we talked about going to the Biltmore. Yeah.
We did. Oh yeah. With
And-
cousin Doreen.
With cousin Doreen and family, and
Yeah.
how I spent about $300 worth of
Wine and champagne.
Yeah, our show budget on wine and champagne. So this is the Biltmore Estate Méthode Champenoise. I don't know how to say that. It's like French. Brut sparkling wine. Highly recommend. It's pretty damn tasty. Yeah.
Yes. Fancy. It is from Biltmore Estates.
That's right. We fancy today for our 100th episode.
We did.
Congratulations on making it to 100.
Aw, congratulations to you. And Phil, thank you for helping our show look legit.
Phil,
I try.
Phil,
He really brought like a professional level to our show.
he absolutely did. We love this studio. We get a lot of comments about how the backdrop reminds everybody of Two Bears, One Cave.
Yep.
Right?
All the time.
Yeah. So how we rip them off.
We just need to get Tom and Brett here.
I know. I'd love to rip off a few of their sponsors and some of their listeners. How about that? That'd be good.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
I'm going to hit up Biltmore.
You're going to hit the Biltmore.
Yeah.
I love it. But yes, Phil, we feel like our production value on this show has just grown by leaps and bounds since the minute we met you. And I didn't even want to meet you in the beginning.
Do you remember that? Do you remember that on the phone?
So you emailed me. It was you, right?
He emailed you.
You emailed me.
He emailed
Okay.
you, and then he wouldn't call you because guys don't call.
We don't call.
And so I said, I'm going to call this guy.
Oh, my
and
goodness.
I got you on the phone, and you started talking tech stuff right away. Like, the first thing you said was, like, you guys are doing it so old school.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is a guy who, like, is modern, is going to, like, make things very streamlined for us.
Yeah.
I hand the phone to James. You're talking to him, and then something
And you
happened.
said the words old school to me, and I was out. I was like, what are you?
Oh, really?
Oh, you didn't.
I huffed. I was like, huh.
You huffed?
I did. I
But
huffed
here's
at you.
here's what happened.
No way.
You got a call. So you said old school to him. That threw him in a tizzy. Then you got a call and he said, I need to call you right back. So you guys hung up and James like, I'm not talking to him. He literally said, I'm not talking to him. And I said to him, I go, why? Because he called you archaic? And James goes, I know what I'm doing, da-da-da. You called back, right? Like within about 5 minutes. And then we're taking a drive down here 3 days later.
It's true.
Yeah, because James kept saying, I know, what's he going to show me? And I said, maybe a lot. And then James was like, I do television. I know these systems. I said, let's just see what he has to say.
So let me ask you this: from that initial console, we were here for like 3 hours.
Oh, you sold
Yeah.
us. You sold us.
Did I show you something new, James?
Wait,
Okay, wait.
stop. Just don't answer that. Hold on. We've gotten to the point now, Phil. I'd say maybe 2 weeks after we met you, but now up to this point still, where I ask him a question, you know what he says to me?
Oh no! What does it say? Let's ask Phil.
Yeah.
No.
I do. I have to admit that. No, I mean the initial, but even before the initial consult. So when you called back, what I heard from you on the phone, like, okay, so I just want to hedge this that I used to live in Orlando in the 90s, and
100 years ago.
every person I met here, every casting agent, every producer, director, whatever, they were all wannabes. None of them had the same juice as anybody on the West Coast, okay? So let me just say that. So when you called me old school right out of the gate, I go, oh, here comes the hard sell. And then you had to get off the phone. You got back on the phone, and you didn't give me the hard sell. It was
At all.
It was consultative. And I was like, okay, it's worth the drive. And so I softened my
And even when we were here.
my old white man stance.
So the minute we walk in, the first thing Phil says is, these cameras do this, this, and this. And you can use, I don't even know, what the thing that cuts your podcast, that's AI-driven.
Switcher, yeah.
Autopod. Yeah, so you're saying all this stuff. We get in the car, and James is like, he kind of knows a lot. It was awesome, Phil. It was.
She was loving every minute of it.
That's awesome.
He was quiet in the car ride home.
Yeah, I was talking about you guys too until when I got all this stuff.
Like how old-fashioned we are.
No, it's how awesome, how breath of fresh air. Because I don't have consoles that last that long.
Oh my God, we
I know
talked
just
about
get people
everything.
in and out, and then
It wasn't even a consult at that point. We were talking about like what we've done, where you're from, what you're doing. You came from radio, all this. Like we knew your backstory.
Yeah.
And I left with a really good feeling. I was like, I didn't just become a client. Like I felt like I was your friend from the time we left.
We made a friend. Like it's amazing. So we got a beautiful studio, great production value, and a friend to boot. Like we're super lucky.
Absolutely.
So we've been with you since it's been like 6 months now. It seems like longer than that. Like it feels like I've known you for a long time.
it feels that way too. Yeah. No, it's. Wait, it has to be before that because we did the pickle show. That was in
November.
It was in November.
November.
Okay, but we're already in June.
It's about 7 months.
Oh, I guess 8
8
months.
months.
8 months.
We could almost have a baby.
We can almost.
I think we have birthed up. We've birthed us a baby with this show, a new baby.
That's right.
Yeah.
We absolutely have. So without further ado, though, let's get to the business at hand. And that is if you have liked the show up to these 100 episodes and you want to support us, please leave a rating on Spotify, a review on Apple Podcasts, or subscribe, follow us on YouTube. We really appreciate all of the support you've given us over these last 100 episodes. We got a lot to recap today, and you have a very special announcement. Oh, and before you get into your special announcement, I want to remind everybody, we do have a quiz every week. It's on Instagram, right? It's
Yes,
Facebook.
honey. It's on Instagram.
Is it on Instagram?
And it goes to Facebook also.
Is it on the TikTok?
No, it's not on the TikTok.
It's not on TikTok.
No.
So go to Instagram every Tuesday when an episode drops. We have a new quiz for you. No prizes or anything. Just go there. It'll
Test
occupy
your
some of it.
knowledge. Have you heard the show? Let's see what you know.
That's right. So anyway, you have a little special announcement of your own.
I do. Okay, so with the 100th episode, I felt like it would be really poignant and just, I don't know, great to have Jenny Bryant on the show with us. Jenny Bryant is somebody I've known since she was 3 years old.
Yeah.
I know. I've known her since she was 3. And she has been helping me with our social media, which is why James did not know that the quiz drops on Tuesday. So that was Jenny's creation. And
I knew it dropped on Tuesday. I just didn't know what
Stop.
platform.
Just stop. You don't even know about the quiz.
I do know about the quiz.
In any case, so I thought it'd be great to have Jenny because Jenny's been with us since August, September. And
Of 23?
of 23. So she's been with us almost a year, and she helps me with our social media and comes up with some great ideas. And she's a breath of fresh air. So without further ado, let's bring Jenny into the show.
That's right.
Jenny.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. And I think we should reveal at this point that actually Jenny is the producer of this episode.
She is. She has produced this episode. Yes. She spent a lot of time breaking down how this episode, it was actually her idea for this episode because we were talking about how we were going to do a 100th episode. Like, what was it going to be? Yeah. Was it going to be a compilation of different cities? Was it going to be a compilation of just food? Like, we did not know. Was it going to be the best and worst of? And she came up with this idea. So it's literally just a celebration of 100 episodes from really beginning to end and everything in between. A lot of behind the scenes, things that we don't really talk about or even share on our social media, but things that happen behind the scenes that Jenny felt was really just either fun or important to talk about.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, I think we should do a little backstory.
Oh.
And that is Jenny was the first best friend of our oldest daughter, Parker.
Yes.
Do we have any of those photos,
Oh,
Phil?
Phil, what do we have?
Oh yeah. Wait, the baby photos?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
How about that? Look at
My
those two in the
God.
playpen. Can you see that, Jenny?
Yes, I can. That is so funny.
Look at those. So those are amazing photos. You guys can check them out on our YouTube page.
Oh my.
Yeah, if you're listening to the show, we actually are throwing up baby photos of Jenny and our oldest daughter, Parker. Jenny was, like you said, James, Parker's very first friend. I met Jenny's mom in Mommy and Me. The girls were just like 3 years old. And I've been friends with your mom, Suzanne, and your father, Jarrett, ever since, James and I. I mean,
Yes.
you were like really kind of like your mom and dad were our first baby couple friends. Like,
True.
you know, and the funny thing is that guys don't, like moms will set up like dinners, like, oh, like come over, let's have dinner, bring your husband. And the guys, it doesn't always work. I'm going to tell you, like you're gonna when you and Aiden get married, Jenny, and you start setting up play dates for you and another couple, it doesn't always work out. And James and your dad though hit it off.
I love Jarrett. They've been family friends of ours for over 2 decades. Even though you guys moved away on us, which I know you did not really have a say in because you were so young at the time. But your parents made a great choice, moved up to Eugene, Oregon, right?
Yeah.
Right in Eugene, right?
Yeah, they're right in Eugene.
And it was fantastic. Did we actually we did not visit them on the Skip Town adventures. We visited them during our COVID trip. Yeah. And so it was fantastic to finally see your house, how well you guys were doing in Eugene and everything. Love Jarrett, love Suzanne. And love little Jared as well. For as much as we know him, we were not as familiar with your brother as we are with you. But tremendous family friends. You've always been on our fridge. So
yeah, and the way that this whole thing came about too, Jenny, is I think your mom may have told you, but throughout the course of our show, we've had a lot of helpful people along the way. But there was a break where I was starting to do the social media on my own, and I really needed someone to create the content for me. It wasn't just about posting. And whenever I would ask somebody, oh, I need someone who help me post, like, who do you use or who do you know? I would always say I need someone to help me create content. And they would say, oh, well, I have somebody. I'm like, no, I don't need somebody who just posts videos. I need a content creator. And I remember your mom telling me that you worked for Fashion Nova and you did something with their Instagram. And so I called her one day and I said, because I thought to myself, maybe you knew a content creator. So I called your mom and I said, Suzanne, does Jenny know a content creator? I said, I really need to hire somebody. And she said, Denise, Jenny is a content creator. And that is how this all started. So why don't you talk a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, and let's hear about where you grew up, where you went to college, and all that. Give us the full backstory.
For sure. So started in LA and then in elementary school moved to Oregon, which I wasn't super ecstatic about at the time, but I'm grateful for the experience and the friends I met and all that good stuff. And then I went to the University of Oregon, and that wasn't my first choice school, but I got a full ride. So to me, free was the best option.
Yeah,
so,
I would say.
I'd way rather live without debt for a little bit. So I went there and I was doing a lot of different internships. Like, this was during the time I went to school during COVID. So there were still internships, but a lot of them were remote. I worked for one company, and then my time that they said we were going to work together was over. And during that time, their receptionist, personal assistant, she ended up leaving, and she was the one who was like doing a lot of their social media stuff. And she had left the company, and I still needed kind of like to continue any sort of internship for experience. And so I ended up kind of taking over for fun. I did that, and then I continued to grow my resume, and then I ended up working with an agency that worked with Playboy. I built out their TikTok and that kind of stuff for a little bit, for like a little over 1.5 years. And then I moved to Fashion Nova, and I moved to Texas, so I couldn't work, with them in person anymore. And I was a big part of their like content creation team and social media. I did like their Black Friday campaign, stuff like that. So that was really cool. A lot of good experience. And then I'd never worked with podcasts before. So I was super appreciative that you guys like gave me a shot, and gave me the opportunity, and I loved it. It's been really fun. And I watch every episode. Like it's really fun. It doesn't feel like work. And I know it sounds cliche, but I genuinely really love working for you guys. Even like the approval process to get something out takes 10 minutes, whereas like working for like a large corporation, it takes like 6 people to give you the okay for things to go public. So it's like, it's a totally different experience, but I've loved it.
Aw, well, thank you. We love having you.
Yes.
I want to talk a little bit about your idea for the show. How did you come up with this idea? Because when I was talking to you about the 100th episode, I think we had a phone meeting and I was just saying, yeah, we got to figure out what we're going to do for the 100th episode. How did you come up with this? Because you approached me. I mean, I think we talked about it and you said, I might have some ideas. And I said, oh, you can run with it if you'd like. This will be your episode. And then you came back with literally 2 pages of amazing ideas that we had to like fit into one page. Because I said to you, do you remember? I said, this is a 2.5-hour show you just sent me.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, a big part of it, I think, was just trial and error from like our experience together. Where you'd express like when I started, you really wanted these like the social media to feel like a podcast, not just like a personal Instagram, and that people knew exactly what they were clicking on.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, that's a big thing with like trial and error and like learning to build your audience and your community and having like the same font for everything, the same colorway, making sure that people really know what they're watching. I think it was just an experience of that in the last like 6-7 months.
Yeah.
So that's kind of just how it came about for me.
Were you nervous at all taking on a podcast? Because you had worked obviously for Playboy and then you worked for Fashion Nova. So this is really different. And both of them were truly cultivated, prior to you getting there. I mean, you obviously
they're
helped.
both known brands.
They're known brands. Exactly. And you helped build it, but, they were known brands. I mean, we're not a known brand. Was it at all daunting?
In the beginning, that was the big reason. I didn't want to overpromise and underdeliver. Like, I didn't want to tell you guys, oh my gosh, you guys are going to get, 500,000 subscribers in 2 weeks. I didn't want to like sell someone a dream and waste your money, time, and your effort. So, I definitely was nervous. I did like a lot of YouTube video tutorials for different things, or like, watching every episode to kind of, make sure I knew what I was talking about. And, I was nervous at first, but you were just like so amazing and so helpful and, gave me so much footage to work with. So I felt like very comfortable very quickly.
Oh my God, we have a lot of footage.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we
There's
never
no-
shut up.
You have the most footage. You don't say you have a lot of footage. You have the most footage.
I would agree
Speaking
with you. Phil.
speaking as a man who has to give us the files after every show every
Yep,
week.
he is so true. He
Yeah.
knows how much footage we have. Okay,
All
so
my devices literally catch on fire when I'm trying to upload them because they're trying to upload so much data.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. I love it.
All right, so we're going to get right into this episode that Jenny has produced.
Let's do it.
So one of the first things that she wanted us to talk about was us celebrating our milestone of 100 episodes and finding our purpose in the show. And, I'd think about because my purpose obviously is different than your purpose. I do know that when we started, one of the best comments or helpful pieces of advice we got was from Leanne Kreischer.
Yes.
When she said, whatever you do not turn your show into a Google page. She said, I can Google Knoxville, Tennessee. I want you to tell me about Knoxville, Tennessee from your experiences. Just don't shoot off stats and figures and data. Like, give it to me from your experience. So every time we go into the studio, what do I always say to you?
I don't know what.
I always say to you, we don't want it to sound like a Google page. What are you talking about? That's like-
Yeah, you just said that.
God.
I don't know. I only every time we go into an episode, the only thing I know is what I just experienced from a city. Now I will admit, and you have to dial me back, And that is like, if anybody's going to get into the Google page aspect of things, it's me, because I like to break down city stats. I like to break down real estate facts and, sort of the state of a particular town that we're in. So I think there have been plenty of episodes in the past where I have come with like 4 pages of data on a particular city, and you have looked at me and said, yeah, we're not doing all that.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I think the best comment, thinking about like our purpose, I felt like, okay, when Jenny brought this up, like, what is my purpose? Like, why am I doing this?
Yeah, good question.
My thought on that was like, I really do like to bring valuable content to our listeners every week. And what does that even mean? It's such a word salad. I want the person to feel like they're there. I want the person to feel like what I'm experiencing, they could actually experience as well if they go. So I want them to feel like it's worth the trip for them if we like the place. And if we don't like the place, don't bother. Like, really, when I say valuable content, like, we're there. I'm not just going to say, oh, we had a great time, sitting by the beach, having a margarita, So I work really, really hard to make every listener feel like they're right there with us. And sometimes you just don't know if you're getting that across. There have been like 2 times during the course of this 100 episodes where I felt like, ooh, I personally hit it on the mark. I got a comment from a woman who's a doctor, and she says that she listens to our show in the office when she's like doing her charts. And she said to me, she's a doctor, so she has, good funds, basically. Like, we all know doctors make good money.
She makes that dollar.
Yeah.
Just say it.
And she can travel. But she said to me, I can't go to all the places you've been to. So I tune in because there are just some places I'll never be able to go to. I'm a single woman. I won't always travel by myself.
Right.
When I get an opportunity to travel, I don't know if I'm going to go to Santa Fe, New Mexico, but I've always wanted to know about it.
Right.
So that was like an awesome.
I think the same way, because I don't travel, right? Not because of lack of money. It's just,
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to, but like,
Right.
the one episode that really made me realize I've never gone to that place is the tent episode and then you almost fell off a cliff.
Oh, Utah, Zion, Utah.
Was that the one with the cliff too?
Yep.
Yeah, that one. I mean, never. You can't pay me no amount of money to go and be homeless and fall off a cliff.
And yet, white people are going out there every single weekend,
So
paying $500 a night to do it.
yeah. So that comment, thank you, Phil. I'm glad that I could do that for you.
We're glad we could cross that off your list for you.
Yeah.
Just one of the many services we provide is also telling people where not to go.
Yeah, that is true. But really quick, I got a comment recently on YouTube, and YouTube is so quiet sometimes, and then sometimes it's full force. So it's like you never know what you're going to get. But out of the blue, basically, this guy commented on a video that was like episode, I'm not kidding, like 50. He commented on it. And it was a recent comment, so he was digging deep. And he said, it was the nicest compliment. He said, I never feel like I'm on a vacation with you. I really feel like I'm boots on the ground walking down Main Street. And I was like, everything we do each week to bring an episode, that made it all worth it. I was like, okay, my purpose is getting through.
Right.
And then Jenny, like, I know that you want to chime in a little bit on here because you said something to me interesting about how you feel like you're traveling for free with us.
Yeah. It's nice. You get to save your money, but still experience different things. And you guys are honest, but not in a way that would like offend someone if they're territorial of their hometown.
Right.
There's always the people who are super, patriotic and they just love their small town. Their granddaddy moved there and everybody's lived there. They, are born there and they die there. And so you guys do a good job of not making anyone feel like you're attacking their city. However, I feel like I've been there now. I know where to go to eat. I know where to stay. I know where not to stay. And that's huge.
I think that's a huge compliment coming from someone your age. Like,
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I just feel like you've said so many things that that have resonated with me as a young person. Like, if somebody our age made the same comment you did, I don't know if I would take it like as serious, just because you're young and you can travel. So the fact that you tell me, like, you will check in with me and you'll say, I really like this episode because of this. I always find that so extremely helpful. And I don't know, it just gives me like, it just always puts a bounce in my step. Like maybe there's some young people out there that are listening too. So I always appreciate
You know,
like
we appreciate that you're Gen Z, right?
I am.
Yeah, you're too young to be a millennial.
yeah, she's Gen Z.
Yeah, we appreciate it when the Gen Zs come out. It's always amazing. Like our kids have college friends or college age friends or
Yes.
whatever. And certain friends out of their group, our daughters don't listen to us week to week.
No, Rory. Let's talk about Rory. This is a shout out, honey.
Aparna,
Yeah,
all these girls.
They let our daughters know about the episode.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
It is cool. It's like, I don't know, for whatever reason, we've reached a chord. So you would say you feel like your purpose for the show is not being a Google page and sort of given like the whole reason we do this or the whole thing that we've done all along is sort of given a boots on the ground view of these places.
Yeah, because we're like, even if we have the show, we're still looking for a hometown. So what is the purpose of doing the show? For me, I'm like, this is a really cool place. I want to share it with people. Like, I love being able to share it with people and having them experience something that maybe they had never even heard of.
Yeah.
A place they never heard of.
I view it differently. And I think the reason I view it differently, well, I agree with that. But outside of that, I guess is a better way to say it. I think that one of the biggest things to me out of doing this podcast that has sort of surfaced in terms of purpose is I've been able to represent not just to my friends in LA or people in my industry or whatever, but just people generally everywhere, the ability to break the routine in your life. There was a part of me where when Ellie was going off to college, and I thought you and I would have like fun, for like a year or two. But then what was the question in my head? It's like we have this house in LA, we have the pool, we have the dog. And then is it going to be you going to work? Is it going to be me doing the same damn thing every day, all day, every day? Like one of the great things about working from home and working remotely was the fact that I could see the children at 2 or 3 o'clock every day. And now all of a sudden I can't see them and you're not getting home until 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening. Like was our life going to turn into me and you watching a movie or, watching reruns of Breaking Bad and then going to sleep every night? And so it's like that for me has like that messaging is like you have only X amount of years in your life. And now you have this chance, whether you're alone or with a partner or with a spouse or whatever, now you have this chance to actually get out and do something if you're fortunate enough to work remotely. Why would you sit in the same house all day, every day?
I don't know. A lot of people do that.
I know they do.
I know. That was not for you,
But the
though,
purpose of this
obviously.
show is to tell people, at least as far as I'm concerned,
Yeah.
that you don't have to if you don't want to.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I thought I had to add that in there.
That's a good point. You can be the person to decide. You don't have to live the same day every day because sometimes things get redundant, especially if you've done them for years on years. You can recreate your reality if you want to.
Yeah, and you're young is saying this. So, like, imagine, fast forward yourself 20 years. So, and one of the things we haven't mentioned yet is Jenny is coming to us from Ireland right now. I think that's an important fact that we should probably include. And you are recently engaged, right?
I am, yes.
Yeah. So tell us about that real quick and how you're starting your life. And then my question to you is, fast forward yourself 20 years from now, like, could you imagine yourself knowing what you know about life now and knowing how people can fall into a rut, maybe predict what you could be doing 20 years from now? But in addition to that, just how would it feel if you were in a rut, knowing everything you know right now and the world you've seen so far?
Okay, so hold on. No. Fast forward 40 years because she's so young. 20 years, she's only 40. That should only be like 44. So fast forward 40 years. Okay, then answer that question.
So I'd be in 40 years, I'd be 64.
Mm-hmm.
What would I be doing? I mean, shoot.
Would you be at home, like, just doing a mundane routine, though? That's the thing. Like, I don't know. It's hard. I know it's
hard. I think reality did hit me after college, and I was working a job from like 9 to 6, 9 to 5. And every day, and I was living in Sherman Oaks, and my work was like super far. So I'd wake up at like 5:30. It would take, an hour and a half to 2 hours to get to the office. Then on the way,
Sherman Oaks, California. We're going to clear that up. It's in LA.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's in Los Angeles.
Yeah. And I just, every single day. And after a while, I was like, this is my life. This is every day. And I immediately thought of my parents. My dad is like the king of saying, like, you'll understand when you get older. Like, he loves to remind me that, like, reality hits. Even if you have a bad day, like, Chase Bank will never forget that you owe them, like, X amount for your credit card, or,
Spoken like a true dad.
Oh, my God.
It's like, thanks for that motivational speech, Jarrett.
Exactly. Oh, he loves to remind me, but now I get it. And I think it's encouraged me to do things out of the ordinary, because I was never like a super big traveler. I've always been very content. I'm definitely my like dad's daughter. I'm very content at home. I love a good routine. And I started to realize that I don't really want to do this. Like, I can do that anytime, but why not travel a little bit, see the world a little bit more, understand different cultures or even different states. And I'm really happy that I'm doing that. It's never too early. It's never too late. You should take advantage of it.
For sure. And so first off, congratulations. You are recently engaged. And tell us what has taken you all the way across the pond over there?
Oh gosh. Well, so my fiance is from Ireland, and he was like, well, he started a basketball school here. So like a year ago, and it's been really successful. It's been really great. But he needed to come back and handle things in person. So he has like 14 people who are working for his academy now, or something like that, which is crazy for one year of work. But it's been really awesome. The kids are going to America end of the month for, I think it's called an AAU tournament or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Like college recruits and all that or college scouts. So it's really exciting. So we're here for the end of the summer. Then I'm not sure where we're going to go. Okay. And that type of like temporary like situation used to like really scare me. I used to not like it. Again, I like the routine, but I'm embracing it. Life's short. So, later on I'll have kids, mortgage, the whole thing. And then you kind of got to like wait until later, because you wouldn't really want to like drag an 8-year-old across the world the same way. So I can do it now. I can do it later. So I'm trying to embrace the change and the excitement of it.
That's awesome. Well, it sounds like you fully wrapped your arms around it.
Yes, for sure. I have like 4 suitcases total of stuff.
Okay.
Anything that's in them, it's got to go.
Wow, you traveled pretty darn light. Your whole life is in 4 suitcases. Kudos to you.
I know, I'm kind of jealous.
I know, right?
Wow, because women notoriously pack heavy.
Yes.
Yeah, so to have only 4 that's amazing.
I hate to say it, but I think I'm the one in this relationship that overpacks.
Oh,
you got electronic stuff. That's
I
why.
do. And I bring anything and everything. Like it's like I'm going up Mount Kilimanjaro or something, and it's like I just won't be able to go down and get what I need. So I bring everything.
Tell him, you can buy it wherever we are. Like, you don't need to bring 10 black T-shirts. We can stop at Target and get more.
Well, you may need 11.
He does. He is the overpacker. He is the overpacker in this one.
For sure.
Yeah. So in your relationship, Jenny, who's the overpacker? You or Aiden?
Me. Definitely. Yes. He only brought like maybe 2 suitcases for himself. Okay. And then the other things were all like merch and stuff for the kids.
Right.
And I used to live in my own apartment that was like almost 900 square feet. And it was packed with stuff. Just random clothes that I thought I was going to wear and I liked at the time, that my style changed, or like, just, you don't realize how much stuff you accumulate. And I'm sure you guys had this when you moved out of your house in LA.
Oh, yes.
Great. It's a crazy realization. It's kind of humbling too.
Oh, that's for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about now what Jenny does and how she helped us, craft our identity on social media and build our audience. It's what she does for a living. I thought it was really just, a great way for people to learn about what a content creator does. I'm just going to start with really quick. Throughout this whole journey of 100 episodes, we've had really talented people help us along the way.
Yeah.
We've had a producer from Los Angeles help us. I had a girl, her name is Katie, who helped me with my business Instagram, helped me when we started off on our journey. So we've had people help us with Google ads. We had people help us with our YouTube. We've had people help us with Facebook ads. I mean, it's been the gamut. Like anything anyone said you should do, we did. And so when I met with Jenny, I came to her with a lot of information I didn't have in the beginning.
Right.
I knew what I wanted. I knew what I didn't want. So I definitely came in more prepared when I was ready to hire somebody than probably in the very beginning. In the very beginning was kind of like, where are we going? What are we doing? How we didn't know what we were going to be. We actually did not know. We
had no idea. I
No.
mean, we had packed all our stuff in LA, and we had, some audio gear, and eventually some camera gear, which we'll get into later. But really, the only thing we had was sort of a mission from Bert and Leanne Kreischer to go out there and just document everything we were doing. So we were like, woohoo, early out of the gate. I mean, everywhere we went was sort of like, hey, guys, I listened to the exuberance in some of our episodes from those early episodes, and we're talking about, a lake.
I know.
Or something, like we're selling this lake.
I know, 'cause we're so
like
excited
it's
to
the
be there.
best. Like if you go into this lake, you're going to
Your life will be different.
you're going to be more youthful by 36 years or something like that. It's like the smallest detail. We were just so intense upon delivering the information.
Yeah.
And so that makes it fun to go. There are things that don't make it fun to go back and listen to some of those early episodes, but that definitely makes it like so that was our
So
thing.
how do we bring that to social media? So that was always the challenge,
Yeah.
like to bring the exuberance to social media for us to stand out. So the one thing that I loved about Jenny, I'm not going to lie, is our very first phone call, because I had interviewed other content creators, and I'm not going to lie, like some of them promised me, oh, I'll get you 5,000 followers in so many months. But a year in, I had heard that from different people along the way. I'm going to make you go viral within 30 days. When I met with Jenny, I'll never forget the first conversation we had. She said, yeah, I'll get you I don't know, I think 50 subscribers in a month is doable. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, organic. She said, that's normal. And I was like, okay, I need to hire her because she's not promising me.
Given a real world sort of approach.
Yeah. So Jenny, why don't we talk about what you do for us and basically how have you explored ways to promote us and what a content creator really does?
Yeah, for sure. A big part of what I do is, or at least what I hope I'm doing for everyone who sees it is finding the voice of the podcast. And it's hard because the podcast is an hour and some change, whereas a reel on Instagram is 60 seconds. So finding that there's the important information that you're getting from that little clip is enough for you to want to go, okay, I'll watch the entire episode. I have a long car ride. I'll take the time to listen. And that can be challenging at first. And I also was trying to figure out the brand voice as well as the community that you guys have built. And now I feel like I have a really good grasp of, who comments a lot, who likes, what type of content, as well as, how many people are actually clicking on the links. I know we had a recent conversation of that. Small little tweaks can make a big difference. We didn't want the page to be pushy and kind of oversaturated or obnoxious, yet, still you have a little bit of promotion. You have some fun clips and banter, some recommendations. Hey, if you're coming to New Haven, you've got to try this this place to eat, stay here, do this activity. So it's helpful, insightful, fun, yet, still, when the new episode is coming out, but not in a pushy, like annoying way.
Yeah. So let's talk about that for a second, though, because I think one of the things that Denise and I have been surprised by, I guess, is how difficult it can be to you're basically promoting a podcast versus a product, say, like all of your other endeavors with Playboy and the fashion line and all that, like you're selling a sort of known brand or an actual product or service. We just want people to listen to the show. How have you modified your approach? Just tell me about how you wrapped your head around that from the beginning.
Right. No, that's a good question. With clothing, it's like there's always something new. I feel like you have to be creative, but in a very different way. It kind of speaks for itself. Whereas, like, how do you encapsulate an hour and a 20-minute video into like one post? And it's free, so that's really great. That makes the job a lot easier. It's a lot less commitment for people. But basically, I guess the biggest difference is it's not an actual product, so you have to get a little bit more creative. And I never want it to be redundant.
What do you think about, like, what is the purpose of over-promising and under-delivering? Like, why do people still do that? I mean, you see when you're scrolling on Instagram, you see the brand social accounts are like, I can grow your Instagram by 100,000. Can they really? Like, just tell me, Jenny.
Or those fake followers.
No, yeah. What are they? When you see, these are real people who own these real companies and say, I can grow. If you just do this, or you listen to this music, or you put this trend, we can, you'll have 100,000. Like, tell everyone out there, Jenny, put, like, what is it? Like reveal, like push the
show the little man behind the curtain.
Yes. What is the truth? And why are people doing that? Why are they selling that? Is it even possible?
Yeah, a lot of companies you see, so there's a couple things that can happen. Sometimes companies, especially if they start out, they'll buy an account from someone else. So let's say that I create a really popular like meme account, and I've had it since 2015 and it has, 1 point something million followers. Uh-huh. Let's say that you come to me and you have this like random product, like a cleaning product or something, and you really want to, have everyone see it. You can buy the account from me, wipe it clean, start over. And all these people are like following it for meme content. So maybe you lose like in the first year, 75,000 followers. And then some of them might be inactive. Maybe that person actually like purchased followers on that account. Right. So people do that sometimes, but you're not even getting the demographic that would listen. I think it's generally a waste of money. I don't think that you're going to find people who are like super into cleaning, who are looking for like funny content. They're probably not going to go and buy your window cleaner product. So anyways, long story short, that's something people do. People will buy followers for their accounts a lot, but then you have like, 500,000 followers and 25 likes. And of course, like, especially with Instagram now, like the algorithm is weird. So everyone has a lot less likes than they used to. But it's pretty epic. And so people take the fast route. It looks good. However, you're not really getting people to listen to the podcast or buy the t-shirts you're selling. So it does take more energy and like elbow grease to build organically and post every day and stories all the time, but you're getting people who are genuinely listening. And I'd rather have way less followers, but people actively loving the content than nobody paying attention. And then through the year, you just see people unfollow all the time.
Right.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I mean, I just, when I'm on Instagram and I see the girl or the guy saying I can grow your business, I mean, I do start to laugh now because I've been in it 2 years and I know the work it takes. It's not just, let's just throw this video out there because we think it's going to go viral and that will land your page with, a million other people. One thing we learned about podcasting also is you can have a video that goes viral. We actually had a couple that went viral, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get podcast listeners because people who scroll on Instagram aren't necessarily podcast listeners, and that is very challenging. And so for us, we've like learned the hard way that it doesn't always translate. Like
That's so true. Even like on my end, I have a couple of viral videos on my personal Facebook, and I didn't even try. Like, well, that wasn't even what they intended, like wanted. I'm like, well, that's not. I don't even want those people on my page. Like, what the heck? I've been pouring my heart and soul into this thing. Why can't y'all like that instead of me looking at a magic trick and I got 8 million views on it? Like, what the heck is that?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that is so. It's so frustrating. You just never know. Jenny, we talked a little bit about like one time about the cancel culture and on social media. Do you think a post, like, even if you're, I mean, how significant do you feel cancel culture is when you're creating content as a content creator? Are you always thinking about that when you're creating something like staying away from taboo topics?
Yeah, I think there's a line some companies I've worked for were very like they could push the line and that was on brand for them, and like they could get away with a lot more than if I were to post on like my personal page. I'd be called out and people would probably know me. So, you know, with Skip Town, you guys aren't known for being like super controversial and you know,
No, we're not. We're pretty safe.
know, so yeah, and so, you know, you'd feel comfortable having your 7-year-old watch and not worry about anything being posted. So you have to kind of, again, know your voice, who you're talking to. Sometimes, especially that goes into trends. Sometimes trends are controversial, or you know, you just offend a lot of people if you do it. There's been some recent ones that have been kind of crazy, and you have to know who you are when you're posting it. Sometimes forcing trends doesn't come off genuine and can kind of backfire.
Oh, we know about that.
Oh, well, yeah, I just think that I don't know if any of our trends have ever Jenny never did a trend.
Not
for us.
backfired, not
No.
cancel culture, but just have gone over like a lead balloon because we're 50-somethings trying to mirror trends or memes or whatever that 20 and 30-somethings are doing. So
It was just advice we had early on. So
Wait, which one was it? I need to know. Tell me.
which one did you
What did you
Which
do?
one did you
oh my
do?
God, the one with the
Negroni.
Negroni.
Oh, he hated that Negroni
Oh my
trend.
God, I hated it.
Jenny, do you know the Negroni trend?
I don't.
Oh gosh, it had to do with the Negroni. It's a drink. It's a right?
I'll have a Negroni.
Negroni is my rap name.
Yeah, it was like I'll have it came out from some movie, like I don't know, or television show. It was like an English-based show that they said, I'll have a Negroni, and she's like, no, you won't, or whatever it was. It was like a sexy little thing, and then everyone was hopping on the trend. So James hated doing it and did not want to do
had
it.
the camera in my face for like 35 minutes, just
So-
getting me to say 3 lines. It was like you were yanking my molars out.
Yeah,
I
so-
was like, I hate this.
So-
Wait, can I see this somewhere? Is it?
Oh, it's on Instagram. Oh, it's
okay,
on
all
Skip
right.
Town All Stars
I got it.
Instagram. It's a reel. It's
Go
a
ahead.
reel.
We'll drop it in right now.
What's your drink of choice?
A Negroni.
I was going to say the same thing.
Magliato.
Mm.
With Prosecco in it.
Oh, stunning.
But I think the first thing I said to Jenny is no trends. Like, I want my page to look like a podcast page, so please, no trends. And you were very kind not to make us do any trends, so thank you.
Yeah.
Anytime.
You have a reluctant audience with that. So, but anyway.
And so, Jenny, we did talk about, like, you mentioned, like, trying to stay away from offending people and hitting on what really grabs people. And funny enough, you came up to me one day and said, I want to boost a clip that you did about Arizona. I wanted to reach more people. What made you pick this particular Arizona clip? Because it actually became a hit. And like, we've gotten so many followers.
Is that the mountain yoga clip?
No, it was us sitting, we were talking about Arizona. Jenny, you want to talk about this clip a little bit and why you decided to, like, what was it about this clip that you thought would hit people?
Right. Well, a big thing is I like when we're covering something that a lot of people can relate to, and with boosting, We did a good job of like hashtags, location, and keywords that we were talking about. So we'd get a lot of people who have either lived in Arizona or, you know, have visited, and they love to not only like comment and interact, but they're rewatching the video many, many times. And so, you know, when people feel like they can relate to the place, it actually hits home for them. It's not just talking about like Milwaukee and they've never been and they have no plans of going. Those videos do really well. And even though, you know, in any place that we're talking about, like instead of saying Orlando, I try to do hashtags that are Florida, or I try to make it as general as possible to the state. And that's been really successful for us because there's only so many people who live in Orlando, but there's so many more people in Florida as a whole.
Yeah.
The one thing that we learned on the road, and obviously that actual reel that you boosted that, you know, was so favorable among people that lived in Arizona, was that people love talking about their hometown.
They do.
And we have found in our travels, we love them. We love for them to talk about their hometown because there's so much hometown pride. Don't you think, Jenny?
Absolutely. People love to feel like it's something that's relevant to them, that they know a few things about. Sometimes they disagree with something and believe that we should have visited this place instead of that place. Or, you know, I love that sort of like interactions and people commenting back to each other. Whether they agree or disagree with the person, and that banter is great.
Well, so you touched on something earlier, and that is how it's really difficult and how Denise and I have to thread the needle sometimes on a place where we just sort of outwardly, at least in our personal conversations, just cannot envision ourselves living in a particular place, and being careful not to drag it on our podcast because, right, you know, we have people listening and whatever. And it's like, if you met your sweetheart there and now you have little Timmy who's going to baseball practice and it's a good life and you have hot dogs on the weekends and all this other stuff, then, you know, it's really hard for you to listen to Skip Town All-Stars and hear us crapping all over your town. Like, we're very careful, with the exception of Louisville, Kentucky. We're very careful about not doing that. And so, because it doesn't hurt, I think, in a way that I actually happen to envision myself living in many more places than Denise probably could, or would want to. But I do get enamored by the smallest things in a community, and I do latch on to, because I grew up in a small hometown myself, I latch on to like little things I see around some of these towns or cities where I'm like, oh, there's a sense of civic pride here, and I don't want to mow all over that just in talking about it on my podcast.
Absolutely. You guys do something that's really helpful, and I think it like gets people to put their like swords down, is you say, you know, some things that maybe you didn't love as much, but this place, you got to go eat here, or we love, the people were so great. You know, of course, the few places, like I remember recently, Denise and the girls went to Zion, and like that whole experience wasn't great. But I don't think a lot of people might have felt attacked by that, because it was like, unless you own the like resort and the whole experience,
right? But
like one person who might be offended.
Yeah, they definitely felt attacked, I think. I saw their response on Google.
We leave you 1 star, ma'am.
They left you 1 star in return, Denise.
I think they did, yeah. It's interesting because I think during our travels, Jenny, what we learned along the way was that, you know, we learned about the hometown pride, and it was early on that we had decided that we wanted to start incorporating guests in our show. So this was, you know, before you came on board, we started doing these little segments for YouTube called Ask a Local.
Yeah.
And those ended up being really quite popular. And like you said, even though we wouldn't necessarily live in a town, highlighting the people in that town is what other people love. So like Micanopy, Florida, we would never move there. It just isn't for us. But that video went basically, like, I don't know if it's semi-viral.
It was one of our highest rated. It still is actually one of our highest rated Ask a Locals. For sure.
So it kind of falls in line with like you finding a segment of the podcast and making a reel of it and bringing people in for whatever that city is that you've created for us, which I love that aspect now that you've created for our social media, because it really, I love hearing the comments, whether it's a Santa Fe, New Mexico comment on a Santa Fe reel that you did or a Savannah, Georgia. I mean, I love seeing people commenting about our experience. It's great. I love it. And then you know what? Our listeners and other viewers meet people through us because we then highlight the people in those areas.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's pretty amazing. Like, you know, we've highlighted Chip Porter, who is from who did our segment, and he lives in Georgia. And his segment was about his college in North Carolina.
South Carolina.
I know. I always do it. I always do it with South Carolina. And then, you know, Donna Spadadal, who's from New Jersey, traveled across the country looking for her new hometown. So we've done segments with people highlighting the love that they have for whether their college, their hometown, their travels. It's been really great.
It has. And I think the comments I love the most are the ones where they'll post either on social media or on YouTube, and they'll say, "Oh, I used to spend summers with my uncle there, and that place is awesome. Thank you for highlighting it." And it's like, "Oh, look at us."
Yeah.
You know.
So that was really that was something that came just, you know, about in our travels, like securing guests, managing our travels to make sure we include people from that hometown. Because I think it's important. I think it helps people get a feel of what we're experiencing by meeting a local.
Yeah. And the bottom line is we're doing our own podcast, and, you know, our sort of underline on every YouTube clip is, can we live here? We're not asking if you can live there. Obviously you could live there. Like, we know you could live there. It's because you're already living there. Yeah. It's if you want to, you know, conflict us in any way in your opinions or whatever, start your own podcast. But it's like, could we live here? And it's, you know, we feel like a couple people who, you know, lived in a city for a very long time, and now all of a sudden we're discovering all these little hometowns that you hear about or read about in newspapers across America, and now all of a sudden we're seeing them with our own eyes, and many are hits, and there are a few misses here and there, and you know, but ultimately the takeaway for every single episode really is, can we live here?
Yeah. And it's really great, Jenny. I mean, you do. I love these reels you put together of for locals to see, and it's always so much fun. So, So for that, I thank you. So we're going to talk a little bit about, because Jenny, you actually asked me about our technical mishaps on the road, and what.
Oh God, this is my Phil. Don't say anything about me being old school here, Phil.
Jenny, what would you like to know about the technical mishaps? Because we've had a list of them.
Man, well, one, I would say, first of all, it's amazing that you guys have traveled so much with all that equipment. That's a whole task on its own. But I remember that we had talked about there was a mishap with a microphone in Ask a Local.
Yeah.
Wait,
there have been several.
Oh, Jenny, that was so bad.
There have been. You know, Jenny, it hasn't been for not trying. I've tried 3 or 4 different incarnations of mics while we've been on the road, and especially while we've been doing these Ask a Locals. I've had shotgun mics on top of a GoPro. First off, I'm a one-man band, and I don't have time to, like, I have a really nice camera, but I only sort of, like, the lenses are really expensive and all that, and it just doesn't play into the run and gun chasing people around their store or their neighborhood or whatever. It's I'm making excuses. I know it sounds like I'm making excuses. Yeah. And so anyway, I've purchased a number of products in the portable audio realm that have totally gone belly up on me and just have not been as advertised.
I can't even get mad at him. Like, I really can't, because he's not a cameraman. He's not a sound engineer. So when we record an entire day, okay, this one was probably the worst. We had scheduled a month ahead of time an interview with a real estate agent in Savannah, Georgia. Her name is Isia Orr. And she put aside an entire Sunday, brought in 2 people. One was her daughter, who's a real estate agent, and another woman that works there. They spent probably an hour in their office just talking about the history of the real estate firm that she built from scratch.
Yep.
How many people she has working from her, what their area is of their real estate area, what it
Our
encompasses.
philosophy, all that.
And I don't know what made me do this. You guys, I have no idea. Just out of the blue, about 40 minutes into an hour-long interview, James has a camera rolling. He's got his, he has his whatever
Tripod.
the tripod. He's holding the tripod.
Yeah.
I don't even know what made me do this, but I just thought out of the blue, I'm going to pull my iPhone out and just get some footage of them talking. Like he's recording them. It's very interview style. So I have my iPhone. I'm swinging it around because the room is pretty full and I'm moving it from, front to back of the room, getting everyone talking. And then when we wrap it up, because we're now going to go on a tour of some of the houses this woman represents and the buyers that she represents, I'd see some of these homes. I see the fear of God in James's eyes. And then his hands start moving really fast. And he's hitting all these buttons on the GoPro. And I'm like, uh-oh, I knew exactly what happened.
We had one bad GoPro. I had a GoPro that would just lock up after maybe it was 22 minutes. Maybe it was 34 minutes.
Maybe it was 5 minutes.
Totally erratic. But yeah, we missed I think all in all, we missed about 38 minutes of the conversation that we had with this woman. It was brutal. And she had the best message to send. She was all about, she's the one that helped us get Parker her house in Corpus Christi.
Because she's all about young home buyers getting a home. Like she is about
First-time
generational wealth. That's what she said over and over again. We got none of that. You know what we got on his camera? Us walking up the stairs in my backside, because that's what he was recording as I was walking up the stairs. We got him saying hi to everybody. We got us sitting down in the room, because that's 22 minutes right there, and the camera shut off.
Well, we got about the first 12 minutes, and then we got the last, 6 minutes or something. So we missed the meat of everything.
And I can't even be mad about it, because it's like, okay, we're on the run, basically. Like it's shotgun style. Like, let's make it work. The one time I did get upset was when we were in the Florida home recording. We recorded like an hour and 15-minute episode.
We did.
And he looks down and he goes, yeah. What would you say? The audio was
no. So we,
the audio didn't record. I just literally got up and walked out of the room because I couldn't even I was like, okay.
At the top of every episode, we record a little banter, and that's just the way we've always enjoyed getting into our episode. So I had the banter, and then we started recording the episode, but the dog wanted to get up or wanted food or wanted outside or whatever, and I hit stop on the audio recorder, and the next thing I knew, we sat down. Camera was still rolling. So naturally, I'm like, okay, let's go. Let's roll. And I forgot to hit go again.
On the audio.
I forgot to hit record on the audio. So we recorded this entire episode, and it was just like, camera, it's on it way back from here. You can't even hear it in the microphone.
There was no mics on. The mics were not.
And so we got to the end of the episode, and I always knew on my recorder, it'll have this little message that says writing file. When I didn't see that wheel spinning, I was like...
No.
You do the frantic hand things.
Yeah,
There's something going on. Even though you know you can't just do something that'll fix it. You're just trying to be busy.
And it's funny because if I was recording my own podcast, I'd be like, oh my God, I got to do that all over again, and I'd beat myself up for a minute or two. But my partner is literally my wife, so
she's beating you up.
It's dual level. It's like 2 layers. It's like accountability at the workplace, and then getting kicked in the ass from a spousal standpoint. So,
and then sometimes, I'll look at an episode that we recorded on the road, and I'll be like, why are we blurry? Why is it focused on the plant that's behind me? I don't know. And then somebody will send us a message and say, I really want to know how you guys are doing this on the road. And I'm like, we're not. Don't even ask me because it's not happening.
It's like I throw a camera out every 4 cities. I just throw it out of the car on the side of the road. But no, I remember the first time that somebody had come to us. It was like our 3rd episode. They wanted to see the episodes on YouTube. And so I was like, okay, great. I'm going to pull out the cameras. We were taking Ellie up to college. Remember that little that grungy little hotel we stayed at in Oregon.
Yeah, we recorded everything,
Yeah.
and you couldn't even use the footage.
My friend, I had a friend who was like, these cameras are so easy. You just put them up, they're point and shoot. Literally, it'll autofocus, all this other stuff. I swear to God, I thought I had the settings all great and everything. I come back, I record it. Ellie, the focus of the, Ellie was the focus. She was about to go off to college. We had just sold the house out from under her. She was still in duress, and she looked like a blur. Like, she just looked like a white, like, where they put the witness protection on people when they're doing interviews.
She was like a hidden character in the video game.
It's like we had her voice, but we didn't have her face at all. And I was like,
She was FBI
this
informant.
is crazy.
She was
And so,
FBI informant.
and then, I go to read, and it's like, oh, you can't just point and shoot. You have to check the aperture and all this. And I was like, well, I knew that. Like, I know that generally.
Your friend told you it was a point and shoot.
Yeah. And so, long story short, from then on out, I had to, but we have certainly downgraded the amount of equipment we're taking with us. I would love to do the GoPros every single week.
We can't. They're not
And
reliable.
so they are reliable now, because the one that was bad, I accidentally left in the Houston airport.
Wow. I'm so happy that somebody got that.
So somebody else took it. They didn't turn it in, and I hope it's given them every ounce of mojo it gave me the entire time we owned it. But
That's like a reverse pay it forward.
it is. It's a reverse pay it forward. Yeah.
I'm giving you my problems.
Yeah, the only thing that would have made losing that camera more complete was if I put one of those paint bags that explodes when you open it, like they do with
Like
money
Mark
at the
Rober.
bank,
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I've had my share like, that's why coming here, like when we're in Florida, being able to come to the studio and just walk in, walk out is so great.
It was such a welcome change of pace for sure. Just to be able to like walk out with a beautiful product and not have to worry about the audio not being recorded.
Yeah. True.
So so when Jenny brought that up, I was like, oh, she's like, what about your problems on the road? I'm like, I have a list.
Yeah. But let's talk about one other thing that happens a lot. This sort of is in the same sphere as that time we recorded an episode and the audio was off. How many episodes do you think we've recorded over the last couple of years where in the middle of it, I've said, this sucks, and just stood up and stopped her, and I hit stop on it. I'm like, this podcast sucks. We're not doing this.
Oh my God, he has done that so many times. Like, this is terrible. I'm not doing this anymore. Or not doing this anymore. That's me. I say that.
Yeah.
He's like, this is terrible. I'm not doing this. We're not recording this. And I'm like, and I was in the middle of a legit sentence, and he just stops it.
I can think of three recent. Like one of them we haven't even dropped yet. Like we actually came and recorded it here, but I think we tried Knoxville. We tried to do an episode. Essex, Connecticut, one of the ones that just dropped. We had another episode recorded, and I'm like, this episode's terrible.
Yeah.
And I just throw it out. And it's like, and Denise's like, we got to spend all this time doing this episode all over again.
We did a Chicago episode full on, an hour and 20 minutes. I was at my brother's house in his office. We set up. They had to leave the house because I had to make sure that they weren't going to be noisy. Oh, they come home and they're like, how was it? I'm like, we have to redo it. Because
James hated it.
Yeah, so
hate
James
it
does do that. But Phil doesn't allow us to do that.
Phil does not allow us to do that. I think that's actually been so helpful for us, like as people who are, like, I use the word hosts, I guess, because we're hosting this show. Like, we never envisioned ourselves being hosts, but
We are.
But it's like when we come here, we got to come correct, because it's like Phil's like, all right, listen, I got people after you. Let's get through this, you know.
And sometimes we'll be here, like we've shot an episode recently in the big room, and we just, like James and I both felt uncomfortable. Once we changed locations in the studio here, it kind of just throws us off a little bit. And I remember thinking that episode sucked, and Phil kept saying it was actually really good. And then I looked back at it, and I was like, he was right. It was good. So I listen to the producer now.
Yeah.
I mean, have you ever said to anybody that episode sucked anyway?
To me?
Yeah. Have you ever said that to anybody? You're not going to say that. What?
Dude, I told you. I had people from Dateline. They were like a client of mine. They were covering the John Benet Ramsey story, the 25th anniversary. It was the garbage of garbage. And I was like, I would not release this if you guys are smart.
Did you say that after you took the payment?
Yeah, they paid. Of course, they had to pay before they even get here.
They got paid.
but yeah, I told them, I was like, you guys need to have a little bit more synergy practice when it comes to podcasting, because you guys are so used to scripted television.
Right.
Podcasting is a different environment, and they weren't really used to that. So I was like, maybe you guys should I said it nicely, reevaluate and work on your synergy when it comes to doing a podcast. But it was trash. I think I still have it.
Oh, wow. Okay. I can't believe. Oh, so you are really honest. Okay.
Yep.
Well, in line with that, I mean, one of the things that Denise has been really instrumental in, especially after our first several episodes, is sort of pushing me and, the podcast in general to move to a more conversational tone rather than just spouting off facts or chronology. Like, we went here and we had ice cream and we did this and we did that. And so I think that's been a tremendous value to our listeners over the last 100 episodes, probably the last 50 episodes.
Okay, are you serious? You're saying that now?
Buttering you up a little.
Okay,
I don't want you to quit on me just yet.
Jenny, him saying that is so funny because it's like pulling a mule, trying to get him to like stop being so scripted when we're in the studio.
Sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, but
people,
okay,
they do love it.
Well, I think just coming from a television world. And especially a world where you have to turn 20 hours into 42 minutes of material, there is that clock ticking in the back of my head. Like, I would say, as a television editor, just in conversations with normal people at the store, out in public, whatever, I'm finishing their conversations before they've even finished their sentences. Like, I know what they're about to say because I listen to words all day long. So it's equally a skill and a character flaw.
Oh, it's a character flaw. Because if you've noticed sometimes, Jenny, because I know you see the show before, sometimes it's edited, or you'll just see outtakes that I will send you, and I'll say, hey, make this look pretty. He is like, he is like on to the next topic before we are even done. My sentence isn't completed. He's already on the next topic. And
I'm always giving you the wrap it up.
Yeah, and I'm like, wrap it up. I'm finishing my thought. Wrap it up.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. Well, enough of my mistakes.
Oh my gosh.
And
okay.
I will say this though. When you guys do send me edits, because we've been starting to do that, you're very kind about it, and you feel bad. You almost feel bad telling me I need to edit something. I'm like, it's okay.
I do.
She's like, I don't know if you should just do. It's okay. This is what I do. But yeah, so you're very humble when it comes to that. So some people are like, fix this. I don't care, or just think I can just make magic happen.
Huh. Yeah.
Huh. You're nice. You're nice and tactful with Phil, huh?
I am.
Uh-huh.
Phil, you're going to get me in trouble.
Uh-oh.
My notes to you are nice too.
Oh my gosh. Let's move on to the next topic.
All right. So my question is basically with the challenges of being on this freelancer journey, what that looks like. What's your why at the end of the day?
What's our why?
Yes.
Good question. You first?
Sharing ideas with people. It goes back to my number one. Like, I guess it's the purpose. My why is just sharing things that we're doing on the road, making people think about different places to explore, just giving people something to think about. Like, why are we doing this? Could they do it? A little bit of wanderlust. So that would be my why, which is the same almost, I think, as my purpose.
Okay.
And then,
like it.
yeah. So I don't know. What would be your why?
I like the fact that we do a travel show, but I've listened to a lot of travel shows, and not just that we don't do RVs, but there are some travel shows out there that we've done interviews with and for that are great. And there are a lot of duds. Mm-hmm. Like, they're very dry. They're very boring. And I like the fact that when I'm talking to somebody in, like on the job or at a cafe or wherever, and they're like, oh, you should check out this place or that place, it turns into a conversation. And I feel like a lot of travel podcasts are more like what you said at the very top. They're either Google pages, or they may have a lot of hacks or inside information and all that other stuff. Like, there is good takeaway from them, but it's just delivered to me personally in a way where I'm like, look, I finish people's conversations, so I'm bored, like within 8 minutes of listening to this thing. And so I think the why for me is always, you can do this if you want to do this, and whatever great degree we can be inspiring to others. That's obviously probably my biggest why. But the other why is, doing it in a way that it's actually entertaining to people rather than just, like you said, rattling off facts or just recounting a visit or what have you. And ultimately, I think what has enhanced, like what has furthered this why is our ability to do episodes now with other people that we've met on the road. We've stayed with listeners. We have Jenny over in Ireland. She can do her own episode. You know what I mean? We've had, being here in Orlando, we've met people with Phil who have come in and have been guests on our show. And so that, as like, like we're not at a phase in our lives where expanding our network is so important from a career standpoint. We just want to make more friends.
Yes. Yes, that
And
is very true.
Like, we want people in all different places across the country where
Come and hang.
Yeah, if we're in a particular region or whatever, it's like, come this way or do this with us or whatever. Like, that's the most enjoyment we can get now, I think, as empty nesters who are doing this travel thing,
Yeah.
Okay, so what have been the challenges that you've been facing, through that process?
Oh, I would say for me personally, the challenge has still been like, it's like this thing I talk about chasing my entire life, and that's balance. And I haven't totally achieved that because of the show, because I'm still working. I'm helping a kid remodel a bathroom in one side of the country. I've got another kid moving from Seattle to Hartford. I've got this, I've got that. And so that, I think it was a false premise when we left Los Angeles that I thought things would get simpler, especially with adult children. And I think in many instances it hasn't. And not only that, like, I am the biggest culprit. I know that if I can fill a portion of my day with more effort or work toward the podcast or toward this or toward something.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Because we could all add stuff to our day.
Yeah. I should golf more, I guess. Is the biggest challenge is I should golf more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What about you?
Driving a Subaru.
Really? That's your biggest challenge?
Because I did not realize when we bought that car
How much you're going to hate it.
all the comments we would get. And and I'm so over it. I'm like, I just am like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you have a Subaru? I'm like, oh, we're 2 years in now. Stop asking about the Subi.
I don't even care about that. What I care about is that we did not monitor the amount of cabin noise we were going to be experiencing. Like listening to a podcast of one of our friends is a Herculean effort in that car because it's so loud and we have to crank it. And then when the car slows down because we're in traffic, now all of a sudden our eardrums are getting blown out. I'm like,
there is a cabin issue.
We are killing our own.
It's really that bad?
Eardrums.
Yeah, it's really
horrible.
like, if you're sitting in the back seat, you can't hear the people in the front seat. So the challenge for me, Jenny, is driving a Subaru. I need to get a quiet car. You know what, though? They design it for people who are hikers and stoners, and we just...
Lesbians.
Okay. We just don't fit any of that. So I think if you're stoned, you don't really even notice how loud the cabin is. If you're hiking and you're in and out of the car, you're not noticing because you're not really in the car much. Mm-hmm. And if you're a lesbian, I don't know why you don't notice how loud the cabin is.
Maybe they do, but they just don't care because it's a great functional car.
It is, but yeah.
And it's safe.
So for me, I'm definitely over. I'm over the Subaru. So yeah. So
yeah, we're less than 12 months out from one of our kids driving that thing around.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm curious, what's the next car? Do you guys have ideas? Have you test drove any cars?
Yes, I want the BMW X5, which is the SUV. That's what I want. It's really quiet. It drives really well. I love it. That's what I want. What do you want, babe?
I don't disagree. I'm pretty brand loyal, actually. When I've had 2 BMWs in my life, and I definitely want to go back to one. But yeah, I mean, it's just about the model we can afford at the time we're going to purchase. But I would say an X5 is perfect. I do like the fact that the X5 is the perfect size to keep us from overpacking.
Agreed.
Keep me from overpacking.
No, you need a Jeep Gladiator or something.
Okay, those are beautiful, but they're pretty big though. Isn't the Gladiator pretty big?
Yeah, it's like the Jeep truck.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. We're not doing that because then we're going to bring too much stuff.
Sure.
I just want to pull up to a place and jump out and not think to myself, oh, does everyone think I'm a lesbian?
And then they see me get out. And they're like,
Is that her partner?
is she really butch? What's going on?
Oh my God.
I'm pretty butch.
Have
as it
y'all
turns
really,
out.
has anybody ever said that?
That I'm
Please
butch?
no. Like,
No.
y'all are a lesbian couple?
No, they haven't.
Okay.
They haven't. No.
Please dress up
I'm
for
way
Halloween.
too hairy. Everybody use Manscaped.
Please dress up like that for Halloween as a lesbian couple.
Should I just, he should just, I had to put a wig on him though.
We're going to get
No,
canceled.
he could be butch.
Just wear overalls and
Oh,
we're generalizing now.
jeez.
We're going to get canceled.
We are going to get
TikTok,
canceled.
TikTok.
Yeah, Jenny cannot make this a clip.
So you passed 100. What do you see yourself doing? What do you see life like? The podcast at 150 episodes.
What's your 5-year plan?
If I'm still here.
If
And you don't huff at me and I don't quit. I don't know. I think at episode 50, I'd like to see it where we're stationary. We're somewhere. We've become locals of a certain area, and the podcast journey will just develop into or morph into something along the lines of a local living in that area. And then we can share that experience. That's kind of what I'm thinking 50 would be. But I don't know, because when I talk about finding our forever home, you have said to me, we're still going to travel, right? So what does the podcast look like to you? Because to me, it's morphed into that when I think of like episode 150.
I definitely see a travel component. It's impossible for us not to get on a plane with 3 kids in 3 different states. So, there's so many places in Europe that you and I have never been that I would love to tackle. But I do agree with you that eventually, like, we are sort of zeroing in on our region now. We thought we had it before. Now we're here again, and we feel like we're good. But whatever the case, I like the fact that this show has become, like, if I were to hashtag it for myself, I would say we do what we want. And I think that's a great place for the show to be after all these towns and cities. And I still want to get to all these little different towns and cities, whether we purchased a house or not. I like the fact that if we want to talk about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, we're talking about them. If we want to talk about, what your car says about you when you're driving about it, we do that. We talk about cultural things. Sometimes we go deep. Sometimes we're super shallow and superficial. And I like the fact that, we've put a lot of skin in this game. And I think it's great, especially as empty nesters who have raised 3 children and all this other. I think it's great for us to feel comfortable in the podcast space to say, this is our show. If you like it, great, and come aboard. And if you don't like it, well, there are 5,000 other podcasts out there you can go check out. But this is what we're doing here, and it's our choice.
Jenny, I have a question for you. Where do you want us to go next?
Yeah, what's your vision for the Skip Town All Stars Travel Podcast, Jenny?
It's a great question. In terms of how I see the podcast going, I'd love to see a final destination, but I hope you guys don't stop traveling. Just because you have your forever home doesn't mean you have to be there 365 days. It'd be fun to even see you guys go to Europe and see some new sites there as well. Even if you don't decide to live there, it's amazing to see new culture and new places. Oh,
Yeah.
One thing that I want to say that I love about what you guys do is you guys never, when people travel and then they go to like McDonald's or they go to like any local spots, and you guys always support local businesses, and you never know, that might be a mom and pop shop that like they may be kind of, coming to the end of owning the business for whatever reason. You guys promoting it is awesome, and hopefully brings new people to those spots who maybe would have no idea because it's a local spot.
Yeah, we're huge on, I mean, I think just especially coming from a small town myself, it's like, well, you, even in Chicago, it's like your family has always supported local business.
Always. And we try to do that on the show. So, you know, how fun would it be if like something we did like popped off for someone else? Like I always hope that when I'm doing a segment on the show and I'm talking about a place, or we do a YouTube clip about a place, I want it to like hit for them, you know, like to get to a place where we can change something for someone. Oh, that would be amazing. That would
Mashed potato pizza. That's what we're gonna do.
I hate that place.
I love that place.
I hate that place. I was thinking Laurel, Mississippi. I was not thinking of the mashed potato pizza. I hate that place.
I love that, Phil. I love that place. Well, this has been a really great episode.
It has. Jenny, especially because you're in a different time zone, and I know it's getting late there. Thank you for all the effort you've put in for us over the past several months, and especially this episode. It's been a treat having you on this episode, and also, you know, sort of putting a face to the name for the people who know about Jenny. But now all of our listeners know you for sure.
Oh, thanks for having me. This is my first podcast.
Well, Jenny, we'd like you to pump your company. So if anyone is interested in hiring you, where can they find you? Give everyone the details.
Oh, yeah. Well, I have a website. It's called digitalagency.com, but instead of it being AG, it's AJ in agency. So that's my website. That's the best place to reach me. And otherwise, I'll see you guys in the DMs of Skiptown All-Stars.
I love it. And I love what you did with your name there. Agency. I got it.
Very, very clever and very cute.
See what you did there. All right. Well, Jenny, give our love to your family. Stay as comfy and happy and successful as you seem to be over there. And I'm sure I'll be seeing your posts every once a month on Instagram when I go there, but you and Denise will be in constant contact.
Yeah, the girl's very busy. She posts a lot for us.
I know she does. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us today. Phil, as always, thank you for all of your endeavors, efforts, support in, making this podcast what it's become.
Absolutely. It's certainly a pleasure of mine.
We will see you guys next week on episode 101. Take them out.
Empty nest, full tank.
Thanks to all of our listeners.
Let's do a cheer.
Cheers. Whoopsie. Thank God it was empty.
You lush.
Thank God it was empty. Thank you to all of our listeners. We'll see you guys next week.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.